Well, the Biden administration came out today and said they are no longer going to be doing any work site raids for unauthorized immigrants. So if you are an undocumented or unauthorized immigrant working in the United States, you can now feel safe going to work. In a memo, Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said the Department of Homeland Security should be prioritizing combating illegal acts committed by unscrupulous employers, whom he noted often pay workers substandard wages, subject them to unsafe working conditions, and facilitate human trafficking. Our worksite enforcement efforts can have a significant impact on the well-being of individuals and the fairness of the labor market. Our accomplishments in this area make clear that we can maximize the impact of our efforts by focusing on unscrupulous employers. Now, you may remember the Trump administration, they were the polar opposite. In the summer of 2019, the Trump administration carried out the largest single state immigration enforcement in United States history, arresting nearly 700 undocumented food processing plant workers in Mississippi. These were the people who are processing meats and things of that nature. All of them just hardworking people doing jobs Americans didn't want to do. They're the ones who are in substandard working conditions sometimes. They're the ones who are getting underpaid what an American would get paid, even if an American would want the job, which they wouldn't. And they're the ones who ultimately got arrested, put in jail, and ultimately deported without any, as far as we're aware, penalties by the employer. It is the United States employer, it's the U.S. corporations, it's individual people who in their mom and pops and in their homes that cause ultimately the immigration issues that we face today. They are offering jobs to people at lower wages, and people see jobs, and those lower wage jobs are still better jobs than what they can get in their home country. So as a result, they'll figure out a way to get here. Whether it's get a visa and overstay, run across the border, get put in the trunk of a car, come across from Canada. I've seen it all. But the point is that it's a U.S. employer. If those jobs were not offered and there were no jobs here, you wouldn't have the issues that we have. Or if the U.S. government got their act together and was able to have a sane immigration programs where they can match people to jobs and have them paid normal wages, real wages, have real working conditions, and have the ability to leave and come and then take your income that you earn and perhaps even your Social Security that you paid into the U.S. government. You know, people pay into Social Security, but if you leave the country, you can't get it legally. You know, people get around it sometimes, but legally you can't get it. Maybe have a way to collect your Social Security, you paid into it, you know, and then leave at the end. You know, especially people on work visas, they're paying into Social Security. They never see that money back.
Right.
So the point is that employers are the ones, U.S. companies. You hear people say, you know, we don't want immigrants. They do want, they just don't want to pay real wages. A lot of people make a lot of money on the status quo. Today's memo is part of the Biden administration's efforts to narrow who can be detained and deported by ICE. Deportation agents have already been directed to refrain from arresting pregnant or nursing women, victims of serious crimes, and undocumented immigrants who don't have serious criminal records. They have now added to this, anybody working in an employment area is now going to be off limits. Basically, you got to commit a crime now. Got to be arrested on a criminal activity or be stopped at the border or near a border to come across immigration. So, I mean, if you've been here for years and you're minding your own business and you're working, immigration's not coming for you. That's basically what the Biden administration is saying. Senator Bob Menendez, along with 15 other senators, sent a letter to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and Secretary of State Antony Blinken, denouncing the United States treatment of the Haitian migrants. The senator called on the Biden administration to appoint a new special envoy for Haiti. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senators Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, all signed on to the letter. The Biden administration has faced increased scrutiny last month over the treatment of the thousands of Haitian migrants who have gathered at the Del Rio, Texas border. Many Haitian migrants who arrived at the U.S. border were fleeing extreme poverty, disaster, political unrest. It's no surprise to anybody because we see it in the news every day. Haiti's experiencing probably their worst political instability following the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse and an earthquake earlier this year that killed 2,200 people, plus all of the poverty and social unrest, criminal activity that's going around there, that's been happening beforehand. You understand why people don't want to be there.
Right.
Senior U.S. Department of State official Harold Koh, he resigned,
Right.
sending a scathing internal memo condemning the Biden administration's continued use of an illegal Trump-era public health authority to arrest the Haitians, put them on a plane, and send them back to Haiti.
He was like, I did not sign up for that.
The senators wrote in their letter, over the course of our lifetime, our Haitian brothers and sisters have endured dictatorships, constitutional crisis, food insecurity, pandemics, natural disasters, forced displacement, the assassination of their president, and the criminal takeover of their communities. Their resilience is unparalleled. Ensuring the integrity of U.S. borders is also of utmost importance and is not incompatible with the fundamental duty to respect the dignity, humanity, and rights of all individuals. And you want to know what? If we had to stand for anything here on Bradshaw Live, probably we stand for that.
Yeah.
Okay? I agree with that. It's not incompatible. This is the problem. It's black or white. We got to stop everyone at the border or everybody comes in, you know, and it's a free-for-all, open borders. You know, and that's what you see on the news, and you see the Republicans and Democrats fighting back and forth. But the reality is, you can have a secure border and also totally respect the dignity of every human being that comes to our country. It's not fair.
It should feel good to
It's not
help.
fair to be humane and fair to somebody and also have security at a border.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not like they're coming in with tanks and we need guns
Right.
to point at them. I mean, they're coming in with
Their hands
up
up,
in
like-
the air, tattered shoes, ripped shirts.
Right.
Please, help me.
Begging, like...
And we've militarized this border like they're showing up with a tank in the middle of it's World War III.
Like, they literally have their kids in their hands. They are not trying to come with any type of violence or any type of issues. They literally just want the help. Like, if you're putting your family at risk...
I mean,
you
we
know,
saw the pictures with the guns, with the Jeeps, recently with the horses.
Right.
Remember that picture?
Yeah, very slave-like.
Right.
That was not remote.
There's a very humane thing we can be doing. But, you know, we go back to, some people just like the status quo.
Yeah.
Meaning that, you know, we get cheap labor, and when it doesn't serve our purpose, we can
That's it.
pick people up,
It's sad.
send them home.
It's sad.
It's very sad. Very, very sad. So, I mean, if you want to think about it like that, it's true.
Yeah.
Because
And really just disappointing.
I mean, why are all those Haitians there at the border? Because there's a job across the fence.
Right.
There's somebody who will pay them a very low wage to do work for them here in America. And they know that because there's no job in Haiti for them, that's for sure.
Right.
Because if there was jobs in Haiti that paid well, they wouldn't be leaving, presumably. Maybe not Haiti because it's a dangerous place. Okay, but as a general proposition, maybe not Haiti. So that's not a bad example. But as a general proposition, it's because there's jobs here.
That's it. That's
There's jobs here.
Majority of people, at least immigrants that I know, my family, all my families are immigrants. So majority of them, if not all of them, want to retire and go back home. If the jobs were back home where they're from, they would obviously want to stay there. Like, that is their home.
So when you have a situation with Donald Trump, that there's corporations, meatpacking facilities, whatever you want to call it, they say, come work here, get here, you can work here. Okay, we'll pay you. You're undocumented or not. We need the processing and the food plants. There's no Americans doing this work.
Right.
Okay, it's the same in the fields and the farms. Okay, who's picking the apples? Who's doing the farm work?
Yeah.
Okay, so the jobs are there because Americans don't want them, or these companies don't want to pay a wage to entice an American to go do that work. They pay a low wage. People come because it's a better job than what they got back home.
Right.
And then who gets punished for all of this? The person who's working, not the company that's offering them the job. Meanwhile, on Friday, President Biden became the first United States president to issue a proclamation commemorating Indigenous Peoples Day in lieu of Columbus Day, or in addition to Columbus Day, It is a big controversy, Columbus Day. But in the proclamation, it was just yesterday, Biden wrote in the proclamation the contributions that indigenous peoples have made throughout the history in public service, entrepreneurship, scholarship, the arts, and countless other fields are integral to our nation, our culture, our society. Today we acknowledge the significant sacrifices made by Native peoples in this country and recognize their many ongoing contributions to our nation. Now, Biden also marked a change, of course, from previous administrations in this proclamation, marking Columbus Day, which honors Christopher Columbus, the man who is credited with discovering America, although America was discovered well before Christopher Columbus, who is the man who discovered America for the Spaniards and Europeans,
Right.
but it was well discovered before. But in that proclamation, the president acknowledged the death and destruction wrought on Native communities after Christopher Columbus journeyed to North America in the late 1500s, ushering in European exploration of the Western Hemisphere. Now, more than 100 cities, including Seattle, Los Angeles, Denver, Phoenix, San Francisco, Minnesota, and states, including Minnesota, Alaska, Vermont, and Oregon, have replaced Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day, choosing instead to recognize the native populations that were displaced and decimated after Christopher Columbus and other European explorers reached the continent. Now, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters that Friday's announcement didn't end Columbus Day as a federal holiday. It is still a federal holiday, but obviously there is much controversy over Columbus Day. It started in 1892 in a combination of recognizing Christopher Columbus and also recognizing Italian-American heritage in the United States. At that time, a lot of Italians who were immigrating to the United States were subject to a lot of harassment and racism. There was a mass lynching that year, 1891, of 11 Italian Americans in New Orleans. And it was this mass lynching in New Orleans of 11 Italian Americans in 1891 that prompted the creation of the holiday so that Italians can be commemorated and celebrated as part of the American community. But obviously, they called it Columbus Day,
Which makes
not
no sense.
Italian American Day.
Makes no sense.
I'm all in favor of celebrating Italian heritage.
Absolutely.
I love Italians. I love Italian food. I love Italian pasta. I love Italian pizza. I love the Italian people. I love everything about Italians in Italy. But why the controversy? Change the name so it doesn't offend anybody.
Yeah.
And then we could also celebrate indigenous people. Why not? Why can't we celebrate everybody?
Since their land was stolen.
Why can't we celebrate everybody? People say get rid of Columbus Day. I don't want to get rid of it because Italians are proud people and it's celebrating their heritage, and why shouldn't we be celebrating their heritage?
No, you could still get rid of Columbus Day with keeping the Italian Heritage Day because it's not Columbus Day. That's not what we celebrate when we say Columbus Day. So get rid of Columbus Day
Right.
and his 3 ships that we learned about in school, but we don't learn about anything else. I'm down with getting rid of it.
We talked about last week the abortion law in Texas was struck down by a federal judge. He said it was illegal, unconstitutional, but we talked about that we didn't believe that people would start having abortions again because this case can be brought into the Court of Appeals and then ultimately into the Supreme Court. And if the Court of Appeals reverses the Texas judge, then whoever does an abortion during this period when it was legal may be on the hook for doing something illegal. So until it's finally settled law, we're not going to see abortions in Texas. And lo and behold, what happened on Friday? But the Fifth Circuit of the United States Court of Appeals struck down that Texas judge's ruling that temporarily blocked Texas from enforcing its ban on abortions, and therefore now abortions are back to being illegal in Texas, at least temporarily.
Oh, man.
And eventually this is going to be all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States. But nothing, you know, it may go back and forth, who knows how many times, but until it's finally settled, nobody is going to do an abortion in Texas. It's going to be way too costly if it ultimately is found illegal. There's now more than 238.4 million cases and more than 4.8 million deaths worldwide from COVID. And today, a New York federal judge issued a ruling that allows religious exemptions to the state's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for medical workers. So that is a temporary ruling. Prior to that ruling, if you were a medical worker in the state of New York, you were mandated to have a vaccine or lose your job. U.S. Northern District Judge David Hurd of Utica granted a preliminary injunction temporarily barring New York State and employers from enforcing the COVID-19 vaccine mandate against medical workers claiming a legitimate religious exemption. So that would be the one exception, at least temporarily, that would allow nurses and other medical personnel to work in a hospital without a vaccine. And last night, Governor Greg Abbott issued an executive order prohibiting any entity in Texas from mandating COVID-19 vaccinations for employees or consumers at odds with federal vaccination rules. So that will obviously go to court, and that'll be decided in court. And if it's decided in Texas court, we know how the Texas courts rule. They allow abortions. They do not allow DACA. They do not allow DAPA. So our guess will be they will side with Governor Greg Abbott, if I had to take a guess.
Yeah.
Right? Because whatever ruling we want them to make here on Bradshaw Live, they
It'll
always
probably
do
be
the opposite. What do you think, Vanessa?
Anything goes.
Anything goes.
Anything goes.
Meanwhile, to our friends in Sydney, Australia, they finally got out of their apartments and homes. Sydney is now reopening after 70% of the New South Wales state population aged 16 and older have been fully vaccinated. So in Australia, Sydney's hairdressers, gyms, cafes, and bars finally opened after more than 100 days of being mandated to be closed. The entire city was closed for more than 100 days.
Wow.
By yesterday, 73% of the target population was fully vaccinated. You know, the whole thing with vaccination, it's not just a issue of, you know, we're protecting you. You're also protecting other people, too, from getting sick. So it's a social, what is the word I'm looking for? I guess it's a social, you know, you're doing something to help society also, not just yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
By getting a vaccination. Do we have any new tea, or is it the same tea, Jeremy? Jeremy looks a little shaky today. Are you drunk? Jeremy, are you drunk?
Pomegranate.
Jeremy's shaky today. He opened the door and just stopped and stared at me.
Getting over the weekend.
Don't forget we're live here. You just can't stop. You gotta keep walking.
What's it say?
Let's get this party started.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Good job as always.
The party.
Pomegranate tea. And Vanessa, what do you have today? Anything? Or are you just drinking water?
Not that delicious pie I had with you guys last week.
What did we have last week? I don't remember. We had chai, right?
Chai.
Pie?
Not chai tea. That's tea.
We learned that. We learned that. Correct. Somebody in the squad told us that.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
because we learned when you say chai tea, you're saying tea.
Yeah,
Just like
because
what Yo-Yo
chai
said.
means
Chai
tea
means tea.
Is it in India? Or
I guess wherever chai comes from, yeah. But we learned you don't say chai tea. It's just
that's
chai.
so American. Look, it's like Taco Bell.
You say, but Bell's is not taco.
No, but Taco Bell is like the American Mexican food. That's not real Mexican.
Oh, it's not
food.
real Mexican food.
Being from
No,
Cali,
like
I know that.
Are not like a real thing. Like chalupas are
Yeah,
not
chalupa.
like a
Yeah.
It's like Olive Garden's not really
There
Italian.
you go. Just like that. Just like that.
Right?
There you go.
P.F. Chang's is not really Chinese.
Oh, please. Yummy tea. All right, what are we talking about?
All right, what are we talking about? Demi Lovato. She thinks we have to retire the term alien. We've always thought of that too, but we said retire the term alien as it relates to human beings. Demi Lovato's taking it a step further. She wants to retire the term alien when referring to extraterrestrials, people from other worlds. She identifies as non-binary and goes by the pronoun they, and she made the plea. I guess she's not. It's they made the plea.
Yes.
It's
yeah,
they.
It's
She.
they.
It's not a she.
It's not a she
Right.
anymore.
They made the plea. But how is it a they?
That's
I understand that, but isn't they plural?
that means that
She's
no he, she.
No, he, she, they.
They.
But they is plural. That means you're two. No? Or am I
Can be both.
You could be both.
Maybe. I don't know. But that's they.
Okay. Demi Lovato.
That's them.
They made the plea because
Mm-hmm.
it's they. It's not a she anymore. They.
Yes.
They made the plea during the interview with Australian outlet pedestrian.tv, in which they say the term alien is offensive to aliens because they're from outer space and we don't know. Alien sounds like they're mean people. They could be cute ETs, and therefore we should just call them as unidentified. Just unidentified. Where they are from. Now, while talking shop on the project, they said that this day throws me off. They said this. I got to get used to it.
You got to get used to it.
Yeah, they said this. I really think that if there was anything out there that would want to do harm to us, it would have happened by now. But I think that we have to stop calling them aliens because aliens is a derogatory term for anything. That's why I like to call them ETs. So yeah, that's a little tidbit, a little information that I learned. So Demi Lovato believes we're insulting people from other universes by calling them aliens. What do you think? I'll leave the first word up to Vanessa.
I feel like, so is it okay to use the term extraterrestrials?
Yes.
That's okay?
That is okay. Extraterrestrial
But
is okay, but don't call them an alien.
Unidentified, that's kind of like throwing them into a whole, like, we don't know you category as well. That could be negative. Unidentified. And they are identified.
When you call
Just
somebody,
not to-
by the way, when you call somebody extra, aren't you saying, boy, you are
yeah,
extra?
so that's what I'm saying.
You know, like you could be calling somebody, that could be a little
Yes.
negative too.
Yes. I don't think
Right?
that
Like,
aliens...
you know, like if I told you every day, Vanessa, that you're so extra. That's not a nice
that's
thing.
not a nice
Not a
thing.
nice thing to say, right?
I wouldn't like to hear that.
Yeah. I think I'm extraordinary. I'm extraordinary. I'm extraordinary.
There you go.
There you go. So I don't even know if she has a point.
I don't think so. Like,
Is there a point? That's what I'm trying to get from this whole thing. Does they have a point?
Where'd they even like come up
Do
with
they
this?
do they have a point?
Unless no, yes, there we go. Thank you.
All right, I did not ask Julian the TriCaster guy, but Julian the
he gave
TriCaster
his
guy
answer.
has given the final answer. He said, "Final answer, Regis, no point." There you go. Our friend Nick Cannon.
Oh gosh.
He's going to be trying out to go a little abstinent. You think he's going to be able to do this? I mean, did he just have 4 kids in the last 3 weeks or something?
He had like 3.
I mean, how many kids did he have? I think he had 4 this year, right?
I think it was 3.
How many
I
kids
think
did he have,
a set
Julie?
of twins and a baby.
4 or 3?
I thought
I
it was
said a twin. 4 kids in like 1 year, right?
So he has 7 total.
Yeah. How is he gonna? Guy who has 4 kids in 1 year. You think? All right. Right now, Vanessa. 3 different women, 4 kids. That was what it was.
That's what it was.
Vanessa.
Yeah. Yes, Brad.
$10 right now. Will Nick? I'll let you pick. All right, I'll make the bet on the other side. $10. Will Nick Cannon make it through New Year's Eve? Because New Year's Eve is still this year. Will he make it through New Year's Eve into January 1st, celibate? It's 2.5. I mean, it's only 2.5 months. But to Nick Cannon, that's like a lifetime.
But are you kidding? It's like cuddle season is coming up. It's the
Right.
holidays. I don't know.
You know that Mariah Carey song starts coming on, right?
You gotta drop off some gifts. You gotta drop off your baby mama gifts.
Yeah, I mean, you show up in a little Santa hat, you know, come on. You're all looking cute in your Santa outfit.
The problem is he doesn't like to put on the Santa hat where it really matters. Look, that's his issue.
Right, yeah, actually, Jill just said he was married. It's true. He was married to Mariah Carey, so that song's not That song's not helping the cat.
Right.
We'll find a different.
I thought that's why you said that.
No, I didn't even realize. I always, that's my favorite. The Mariah Carey Christmas song is my favorite.
Oh yeah,
my favorite Christmas
mine
song.
too. But yeah, he's definitely married to her. He's the one who gave her the only kids she has.
Well, of course it would be him.
Right. It's
I mean,
just
come
passing
on.
it around.
I mean, he just looks at somebody and they get pregnant. I mean,
Low key.
I mean, I'm serious.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
So, well, I'm taking the bet right now. What do you want to bet? Which side, Vanessa? Are you a betting woman? What?
He's not gonna make it.
He's not going to make it. All right, so $10. Vanessa says he's not making it. I have $10 that says he makes it. I have faith in the man.
Yeah, let's do
Right?
that. Let's have faith in
Okay,
him.
I have faith in the man. He says he could do it. He could do it. All right, and
Maybe he'll take a little holiday break.
maybe you're probably right. I think I'm out $10, but I'm gonna say I got faith in him, and we'll be scouring the news and
Let's
see.
find out.
We'll see if it actually happens. By the way, Wendy Williams' season 13 premiere has just been moved once again due to her health. And the show was previously set to premiere October 4th. The original date was on the 20th of September, and it's been revealed that the 57-year-old talk show host did come down with COVID in September, and in the same month was transported to Beth Israel Hospital for mental health check. And there's been some speculation that if Wendy Williams does not return, she will address her health issues on air. Page 6 of the New York Post previously reported that her season 13 debut show was scheduled to have no guests and just feature Wendy Williams. Now, sources also say that Nick Cannon may be taking over for Wendy Williams if she's not able to come back due to her health issues. A source close to the show told Page 6 that the executives have been talking. They're keeping a close eye on Wendy Williams' recovery and hoping for the best, but they have pushed back her show premiere several times, so they're already thinking of a backup plan. And it looks like the backup plan is Nick Cannon. And we were just talking about this off air, Vanessa, Jonathan, right before we got on air. And he was just saying, there's just some people, right? Just people, they just love, Nick Cannon. Who are you saying?
Say Will Smith.
Will Smith. People just love Will
Queen
Smith.
Latifah.
Right.
And this is worldwide. I'm not just talking about here in the States.
Right.
They make money worldwide. People actually support them. And Nick Cannon's just one of them. That's why literally he's like a Steve Harvey. He has his toes in every single, avenue. He has a radio show, now a talk show.
And apparently he has more than toes in different areas. I mean, he just had 4 kids in 1 year.
Yeah. So, I mean, I
just got to make that clear,
I see it happening. He won't be a Wendy Williams because there's only one Wendy Williams, But I could definitely see, just like a Cardi B, once you have money and the right people behind you, you can make it. And he has the right people behind him that are going to be pushing his show. So.
Agreed.
I'm just having my tea. And meanwhile, maybe you guys millennials are too young to appreciate the Beatles. Do you like the Beatles or no?
Yeah.
You like the Beatles?
I love the Beatles.
You do, really? I did not expect that, Vanessa. I thought you
legendary.
They are legendary.
I thought you'd be like, who? Who? Beatles? I didn't.
Not my boy Paul McCartney. What?
Okay.
Paul?
John Lennon?
So for when they broke up the Beatles in 1970, it's been about 50 years ago. For 50 years, the person who was attributed with the breakup was Paul McCartney. And it has now come out in an upcoming interview on BBC Radio. He told journalist John Wilson that it was not him who broke up the Beatles. It was John Lennon. He walked into the room one day, John Lennon, and he said, "I'm leaving the Beatles." I wish I could do a British accent, but I can't. And he said, "It's quite thrilling. It's like a divorce." And then he kind of left, and we were there to pick up the pieces.
Wow.
Now, while Wilson highlighted that Paul McCartney was the one to sue his bandmates to end the business partnership, he was also blamed for the band's breakup. And Paul McCartney said he was extraordinarily frustrated that the press and the general public thought it was him who broke up the Beatles. He said McCartney said Lennon's decision to leave the band was driven by his pursuit of social justice, including movements such as bagism, where he would just wear a bag for clothes. He would not wear clothes, he would just wear a bag. And he and his wife Yoko Ono would urge people just to put a bag over their body. And Lenin also wanted to hold bed-ins for peace in Amsterdam and Montreal, whereby people just lay in a hotel room in a bed for weeks in protest of war, and they just have bed-ins. And Paul McCartney, he said to John Lennon, the point of it really was that if John Lennon was making a new life with Yoko Ono, and he wanted to go, live in a bag, and he wanted to lie in a bed for a week in Amsterdam for peace, I mean, we weren't going to argue with him.
Right.
And that's why the band broke up. And it's sad because some of their best work was right at the end. Let It Be.
Right.
Abbey Road. That's not some bad stuff.
Yeah.
Right at the end. There's actually a really good documentary. I can't remember on what platform it's on, but it's all about when they separate and they go into the whole relationship, just them two, and how he develops on his own, and it's really very interesting.
I want a really dope biopic of them.
I wish they stayed together. I wonder what it would have been like if they stayed together through the 70s.
Right.
How much more amazing music.
I'm sure a lot.
Paul McCartney did some good work with Wings. John Lennon did, good work on his own.
Yeah.
But imagine if they stayed together.
I think that would have created they on their own, the time they were together, they created such an impact in culture in music, but that would have really turned things around.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this full interview is scheduled to be broadcast on BBC on October 23rd. That was just a quick preview. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.